Vediamo cosa ci aspetta in questa bellissima preseason. A parte Anka e Sandy Martin e Asmongold. Mettiamo i sottotitoli. Io mi auguro che voi conosciate l'inglese. Se non conoscete l'inglese nel 2022, preoccupatevi. C'è un problema.
I'm Ryan Reeve Morales, lead producer of Gameplay on League.
Ciao Ryan, che bei capelli che hai.
From all those champion roadmaps. But today, for reasons I can't even fathom, they put me in front of a camera again to talk about all of League this time. So buckle up as I dive into some of the champions we have in development.
Okay.
After that, I'm going to pass the metaphorical mic over to Riot Froxon, who is going to talk to you about the recent durability update as well as our plans for preseason.
Ok, campioni del 2022. Qua parliamo dei rework e di quelli nuovi, immagino.
So before we get into the new champions coming up this year, let's take a quick look back at the champions we've released in 2022 so far. First we had the speedy ADC Zeri.
Sì, che avete nerfato 70 volte. Povera Zeri.
After that, the Void Empress herself, Bel'Veth.
Che è durata 2 patch.
And then most recently, the Joyful Nila.
Che ancora ora è
And
forte.
just around the corner, we have the Udyr VGU, complete with a dad bod worthy of the Freljord.
Oddio, non solo VGU, Avete anche cambiato
Udyr's
il
development has
gameplay.
been a long journey, especially since he's been the first VGU that we've done that's had an ultimate.
Già, per quello ci hanno messo
We
così tanto.
appreciate you all being patient with us on this one.
Ci hanno
and
messo così
hopefully
tanto per la
the
Ultimate
wait has been
Skin,
worth it.
perché deve cambiare tutto, ovviamente. Mid-scope updates.
So in addition to the new champions we've released this year, we've also been shipping a lot of mid-scope updates to various champions, including Janna, Ahri, Swain, Talia, Olaf, and recently Sivir.
Vabbè, questi qua sono tutti i mini rework che hanno
Because we
fatto.
slowed down the release of new champions, we've had a bit more time to ship smaller updates to champions on the roster that have fallen behind the pack. So the goal of mid-scope updates isn't to reimagine a champion's visuals, theme, or gameplay. That's reserved for VGUs. Instead, we want to freshen up champions that aren't living up to the expectations of the players who love them. We try to strengthen their fantasy even more, rather than reinvent
Ecco, fate la stessa cosa anche
So for
con Zed,
Swain,
che madonna è
we
vecchio
pushed
come il
his
cucco sto
fantasy of an
campione.
unkillable frontline mage to the max. And
Fate
for
la stessa
Ahri,
cosa anche con Zed,
we
no?
focus on her fantasy of a mobile mage, rather than the assassin she had become. We saw really great responses to these projects, as well as healthy play rate spikes after their release.
Vabbè, grazie al cazzo.
Given all of this, we want to keep pursuing mid-scope updates.
Bravo.
And we already have a few champions we're exploring, including
Zed.
Nico
Zed.
and Syndra.
Syndra? Ok, Syndra mi piace. Ottimo, questa è un'ottima notizia.
So now let's talk about some projects I've been super excited to share with you.
Super
So
excited.
later this year, we have a new top lane tank hailing from Shurima,
Top lane tank. Vabbè.
who I briefly mentioned in the last champion.
In effetti l'ultimo tank che è stato fatto... Quando è stato? L'ho visto, Ciaro, l'ho visto. Quando è stato l'ultimo tank che hanno fatto, ragazzi? Non me lo ricordo neanche. Rel. No, sì, beh, intendo top. 100 anni fa. Orn, minchia. Dai, poverino, allora forse se lo meritano un nuovo campione.
Roadmap.
Forse se lo
This new
meritano, dai.
champion will introduce a part of Shurima that we haven't explored yet. The city of Nezuma.
Nezuma.
Now, Azuma is an oasis city-state in the southern outskirts of the desert. And unlike the
Ma
rest of
cos'è?
Shurima, they don't bow to Azir, situated on one of the only water sources for miles.
Ma poi il microfono non è nemmeno vero.
Azuma had to compete with giant monsters just trying to stay hydrated. It was a hard-fought struggle, but they eventually claimed the oasis as their own and built their society around it. Now, 500 years later, this new champion leads the warriors of Nezuma to hunt those same monsters, using the rare resources they gained to build their infrastructure.
Praticamente un campione alla Monster
He
Hunter.
actually fought one of the largest monsters the desert has ever known, creating
Oh, raga, tutto ciò urla MMORPG. Tutte queste cose. Questa, per esempio, questo mostro leone lo vedremo sicuramente quando andremo a Shurima nell'MMO di Riot. A me queste cose fanno drizzare il cazzo, madonna.
his unique Entofos out of its rare regenerating hide. Entofos are huge, blunt weapons that can be used defensively, but at any moment, he can shatter them revealing carefully crafted blades, capable of tearing through any foe in seconds. Soon after, the hide will regenerate back to its blunt form, so he can, like, bludgeon the crap out of you. It's honestly quite impressive to see. But you don't have to take my word for it. The entire city-state is basically permanently impressed by him. I mean, he's Kasanti, the pride of Nezuma. You don't get that title for nothing. So after Kasanti, we will be releasing
Madonna che nome di merda.
Aurelion Soul CGU.
Oh, questo
to
mi
remind
interessa.
everybody, a CGU, or Comprehensive Gameplay Update, is a new type of update we are testing out on Aurelion Soul.
Okay.
So the goal is to completely reimagine A-Soul's gameplay without changing his visuals or narrative at all. Since let's be honest, those aspects of Aurelion Soul are still amazing, even by today's standards. But I know what you're thinking. Less talking, Mr. Reeve, more action. And by action, we mean videos.
Bravo.
Okay, fine. Twist my arm a little bit more, will you? Now keep in mind, the visuals are still a work in progress. One of the goals was to enhance his dragon theme. And what do dragons do? Well, they breathe fire, of course. A-Soul's new Q allows him to breathe fire for as long as he has mana to do it.
No, un lanciafiamme. Gli hanno messo un lanciafiamme sulla Q. Che finché hai mana puoi continuare a spararlo. Però immagino che sei fermo quando lo fai, giusto? O ti muovi?
But let's not forget.
Cos'è? Un rumble praticamente.
The other thing dragons do.
Fly.
Fly.
Vabbè, questa cosa ce
His
l'aveva
new
già.
W allows him to take to the skies. But this time, he doesn't have to walk in a straight line for like ever. He can now fly with the push of a button. But really, let's be honest.
What?
He's a dragon. And if there's one thing more iconic than either flying or breathing fire, it's flying.
Che poi i draghi non sputano fuoco ma magia, ma vabbè.
While breathing fire, which you can do by combining his Q and W. We did it. So
hanno fatto proprio un drago, raga. Hanno fatto proprio un drago. Cioè, voli e sputi fuoco in giro. Hanno fatto proprio un drago.
after Aurelion Soul, we have a champion I've been literally dying to talk to you about. One of the things the League community hounds me about constantly is wanting to see more Darkin champions. Darkin fans are like, throw me a frickin' bone here. And believe you me, I'm right there with you, barking for some Darkin. Then one night,
barking for some Darkin.
At around 2:34 a.m., I woke up in a fever sweat. And at that moment, it hit me. I'm on the champions team. If I want more Darkin, I can just talk to the team about it. And gosh dang it, I did just that. And the team was like, heck yeah, we want more Darkin as well. We love Darkin. So yeah, long story short, we're making a new Darkin assassin.
Vai, un nuovo assassino!
So I know what you're gonna ask next. What's the weapon? Each Darkin is trapped in some super awesome
avrà un pugnale. Cosa vuoi che abbia un assassino?
Weaponry, please tell us what it is. We must know. And while I love watching you all squirm
avrà un pugnale per
intricate
forza.
yet vague champion roadmap teasers, I'm not gonna be that cruel today. The weapons are like the coolest part about Darkin after all.
Ah, non ce lo dici?
So this one was actually entrapped in a dagger, which is now
un coltello.
A Darkin dagger,
Ovviamente.
of course, because that's how that works. And here's what it looks like. Ooh, so edgy, so dark. And as to who...
Vabbè, è praticamente la falce di Kane. È praticamente la falce di Kane con l'occhietto. Cioè... Fatto a pugnale.
Or what got a hold of these daggers? Well, you'll just have to wait and find out. Another thing a lot of people have been asking to see progress on
Zaked, League non può morire.
Is the Ari update that we announced at season start.
Perché non c'è nulla.
Well, the ASU team
Non c'è nulla con cui rimpiazzarlo. Non può morire.
Some art, like the final composition seen here. The base version is close to complete, and the team is super.
Oh, finalmente gli avete sistemato queste code di merda. Finalmente, cazzo.
Excited to show you some of the progress.
Finalmente, bella però. Sembra uscita da Wild Rift. Allora qualcosina la fanno anche per noi.
Look at all those sweet polygons.
Oh, alleluia, mica prima sembravano dritte così le code.
And here's a sneak.
Zac, ma tu sei solo una minuscola, infinita, piccolissima frazione di quelli che se ne vanno. League non potrà mai morire. È il gioco più competitivo al mondo. Fiati, non morirà mai.
Peak of her updated VFX.
Bella.
Ari still has a ton of skins that also need to be updated. So she still needs a little more time in the Foxfire oven before we can get her in your hands. But you can expect to see her sometime early next year. So that's about it for champion news. Though I will leave you with one small thing. On top of wanting a new Darkin, we've seen a lot of players asking us to expand on Ixtal.
Ah, l'Enchanter, questo me
We've
lo
also
ricordo.
heard
Sì.
you asking for us to make a male enchanter. Well, I say, why not both? I'm happy to say we have right now, in very early development, a new male enchanter from Ixtal. The new champion will show a very different side to Ixtal, far from the lavish palaces Kiana grew up in.
Ah, sarà il
So take a look at this
plebeo.
art teaser that the team working on him put together.
Cosa
Oh
sono?
my god, they're so adorable.
Cosa sono questi tre budini?
Well, that's enough cuteness for now. So as promised, let's hear from Riot Foxon on the champion durability update and preseason.
Ecco, andiamo al succo, va? Andiamo al succo della cosa.
Hey everyone,
Ciao.
I'm Matthew Long Harrison, aka Riot Froxon, lead game designer on the Summoner's Rift team. We work on things like balancing the game, in-game systems,
Perfetto, quindi sei tu che io devo bestemmiare per tutti i cambiamenti e tutti i nerf, eccetera, eccetera, giusto? Perfetto, almeno so che facciamo.
like the durability update and items, and preseason. I've got a few things to cover today, so let's jump right into it. A few patches ago, we launched the champion durability.
Sì, una merda.
Our goal was to increase the durability and reduce the damage and healing of every champion in League.
Una merda.
We've been closely monitoring the results, and after some targeted adjustments,
Ci siamo accorti che abbiamo fatto una stronzata.
we're really happy with where the update landed. A lot of you have mentioned how much you like the update, and that it feels good to have fights last longer with more chances for skill expression.
Sì, certo, skill
And we're
expression.
glad that it helped make League feel fresher. That said,
Ah, bella questa skill. Bella questa espressione di skill comunque, eh. Bella questa espressione di skill. Una V che tira dritto non cliccando nulla e una Soraka che fa W a spam. Bella questa espressione di skill. Questo è proprio quello che voglio da League of Legends, cazzo. Fortissimi ragazzi, fortissimi.
unless it's really necessary. What we don't want is for huge changes like this to disrupt League's competitive integrity, especially in the middle of the season. Speaking of which, let's talk about our plans for preseason.
Ecco, adesso arriva il tasto dolente, vero?
Similar to last year, we're making more targeted changes to various systems. Our multi-year goal is to bring everything in League up to modern standards before doing updates on the scale of Runes Reforged, Elemental Rift, or the item update again.
Beh, fin qua ci sta. Il gioco deve essere sempre moderno. E fin qua siamo d'accordo.
So for this preseason, we're updating systems including communication and vision, making the
Okay.
jungle more exciting and accessible,
Sì, perché tanto la giungla è un ruolo così poco impattante.
and bringing back a familiar foe.
Il drago. Communication e Vision Sense. Questo qua potrebbe essere interessante.
Our
Vediamo un po'.
communication system is showing its age, especially in comparison to some of our other games.
Vi do una dritta che risolverà tutti i problemi. Mettete la fottutissima chat vocale, come in tutti gli altri vostri giochi.
So we're giving it some much needed attention with new features that'll make it easier to communicate with your team and walk away with the win. To that, we're expanding our in-game ping system to allow for better communication with your team. The current system only lets you share very basic communications. And while we appreciate your ingenuity with the limited pings you have, we wanted to give you more opportunity for clearer communication. The updated pings will include
Oh mio Dio! Che è sta roba? Assist me.
everything you already know
Vabbè.
and love,
Arras.
plus expanded vision options, and a
Freeze.
call to engage.
Push. Sì, Remate, ma chi è che, ma chi è che capirà questi ping? Ma se io pingo Arras, ma chi è che lo capisce? Ma chi lo capisce in platino? Ma forse a Grandmaster riescono a capirlo.
Also thinking about ways to emphasize pings with teammates, plan macro strategy for objectives,
Vabbè, è comunque un miglioramento, cioè non lo sto criticando, è pur sempre un miglioramento.
and keep track of where pings are on the map, even if they're off your screen. In addition to the changes to communication, we're making some small improvements to the vision system, as it's a bit outdated. It's not super clear that you can swap vision trinkets, and it's definitely not clear how you can best utilize them. To that, we're exploring ways to make vision trinkets more intuitive. You'll be able to see how many wards you have on the map, and preview where they'll go when
questo è buono.
placing them in walls.
Siamo pronti a piangere?
Another focus this year is the jungle. We know it's often a highly stressful role where you need heaps of knowledge to be baseline proficient. There's a lot riding on junglers, as they're often the backbone of the team's strategy, while sometimes getting unjustly flamed. So we're looking to make some changes to make jungling more intuitive, and to help alleviate some of its more painful parts.
Vabbè, aspetta, può dire tutto come può dire niente. Continuiamo ad ascoltare.
Our first change is improving buff sharing. Donating buffs to your laners is an important part of being a jungler.
Ok, questa cosa è importante perché i pezzi di merda che giocano in giungla non danno mai il buff. Una volta si faceva, ora non si fa più.
But it feels bad to lose the gold, experience, and bonuses they provide. We're exploring a bunch of things to make this more painless to junglers, like buffs leaving behind a little friend that also has a buff, and a few other potential directions.
Oh, poverini, non hanno il buff. Ma sono dei bambini. I jungler sono dei bambini che piangono. Oh no, non posso darti il mio buff, è mio, io poi come faccio? E cazzo di bambini. Sono dei cazzo di bambini, gli devi dare il lecca lecca, se no piangono.
We're also looking at ways of improving jungle camp patience rules. The goal of this change is to make it so you don't get overly punished by accidentally pulling camps too far. You shouldn't have to know exactly what pixel to stand on to do red buff and raptors at the same time without one resetting. So we're making changes that will make it less punishing when that...
Scusami, perdonami. La giungla non ha meccaniche per quanto riguarda il farm, ok? La giungla non ha meccaniche per quanto riguarda il clear dei minion. Non devi fare un cazzo, devi semplicemente tirare dritto. Una delle pochissime cose, pochissime cose, è il timing per il reset dei buff. Me lo togli? Cioè, quindi si fanno tutti i buff contemporaneamente?
happens. We know some junglers like to hyper-optimize their clears, and we want that knowledge to be rewarded. We'll still keep unique, optimal clears for different champions, like Kayn starting Raptors and Shaco doing whatever it is he does. All this said, we're not trying to make mastering jungle easier.
No, a me pare di sì.
But we do want to make it easier to start jungling. We still want you to be rewarded for taking the time to master your role and champions. There are some other improvements we're exploring for the jungle, but it's still too early to share more, so we'll check back in later.
Vabbè, diciamo che non hanno detto molte cose, però XD.
The final preseason change we want to talk about today is the long-awaited return of everyone's favorite Drake.
Ma cosa dici? Ma lo odiavano tutti quel drago.
The Chemtech Drake. While we're bringing Chemtech Drake back from the dead, she won't bring you back from the dead anymore.
Gli avete tolto il revive.
Instead, the new and improved Chemtech Soul...
Oh mio Dio, cosa hanno messo? Oh mio Dio. Allora, non può essere qualcosa più broken del revive, ok? Non può, no? Cioè, non può essere cosa di più broken del revive.
Grants more damage and damage reduction when you're low health. And when the Chemtech Drake takes over the rift, the plants on the map mutate and become empowered. For example, Scry's Bloom will grant movement speed when moving towards revealed enemies, and Blast Cone will take you further than ever before, like from...
Perché continuate a dare ai jungler strumenti per gankare meglio? Ma perché? Ma cosa volete? Ma allora mettiamo, non lo so, ma mettiamo una ricompensa solamente perché hai cliccato giungla in Champion Select. Ma diamogli 5 LP in più se giochi giungla. Ma perché fate tutte ste cose? Ma perché?
blue buff to mid lane.
Va che
We still
bello!
have other plans for preseason, including the usual updates and tweaks to items and runes. And we'll share more information about our plans for these and everything we discussed today as we get close to preseason. That's all I have today. Thanks for watching, and let us know what you think about everything you heard.
Fa schifo! Va bene?
I'll hand things back to Reeve to say goodbye.
Thanks, Roxanne. So as you can see, we have a lot of exciting things in development. And as
Ma è tutta qua la preseason? Tutta qua. Cioè la preseason è solamente questa?
always, I've had a blast finally sharing all this cool stuff the team has been working on with all of you. Wait. Yeah? So I'm hearing that there is one last thing we forgot to show you all. You all remember the skin line you voted for at the beginning of the year, right? I think it was the Gothic skin line revamp. Well, our skins team has been hard at work reimagining that skin line, and they really want to share a bit of it with you now. So it's time for me to say goodbye, bye, and time for all of you to see some sweet concept art for the new Fright Night skins.
Questa è la skin più bella del mondo, raga. Urgot Bau Bau è bellissimo. Urgot Bau Bau è bellissimo. Questo lo devo ammettere. Questo lo devo ammettere. Urgot Bau Bau è stupendo. Il Bau Bau, se non sapete chi è il villain di The Nightmare Before Christmas. Tra l'altro, la cosa bella è che gli hanno anche messo quando lui si fonde con l'albero, con la casa albero. Bello. Allora, questa per me è la cosa migliore di tutto sto video. Carino. Sì, hanno chiamato Tim Burton per fare queste skin. Sapete cosa mi ricorda? Ragazzi, avete mai giocato al primo Kingdom Hearts? Sapete cosa mi ricorda? Quando Sora, Pippo e Paperino andavano nel mondo di Jack e si dovevano camuffare per sembrare come loro. È la stessa cosa. Mi ricorda esattamente questo. Va bene.